everyone. Welcome back to Presley Mania. Well, we are finally going to wind up the divorce documents. What I'm about to read to you guys is the final divorce documents that were filed in Los Angeles County Court, and this is it. This is it. I think some of you are going to be a little disappointed when I read these to learn that nowhere in them does it say that Elvis told Priscilla she couldn't use the last name Presley.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, are you kidding me?
Oh, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
I'm sorry, guys. I know so many of you had hung your hats on that, but it's not in here. And but here's the thing. When Priscilla moved out and she rented the apartment in Marina Del Rey, she told Elvis that she didn't want to be known as Mrs. Elvis Presley. She didn't want Presley attached to her name. So she set up the rental agreement, lease agreement, sale agreement, whatever it was. I don't know if she bought the place or if she just rented it under the name Beaulieu. And she said that was because she didn't want people knowing that she was Mrs. Elvis Presley, and to protect Lisa. She didn't want a bunch of, people snooping around and all that kind of stuff. You know how it is. The paparazzi follows them everywhere. So that was that. She also wanted to be able to prove that she could do things on her own. So therefore, when she opened up the dress shop, it was Bis and Beau. Beau for Beaulieu. I guess at some point she decided that the name Presley carried a little bit more weight. So she started going back to using that. So that's how we got there. I'm not trying to discount anything Sonny West or any of the other Memphis Mafia guys have said. Elvis very well could have told them something in confidence that maybe he didn't want her using the name for financial gain. I have no idea. I can't verify that other than what has been said in the books and on the videos and stuff. They say he said. So how much weight does that carry? But in these documents, it doesn't specify that. So there you guys go. Okay, I'm going to get into these. There is a lot of reading. I hope I can get them finished today, but I'm not sure. Okay, so let's go, shall we? All right. This agreement is made this 4th day of October, 1973, at Beverly Hills, California, between Elvis Presley, hereinafter referred to as Elvis, and Priscilla Ann Presley, hereinafter referred to as Priscilla. Elvis and Priscilla hereby contract with reference to the following facts. A. Recitals 1. On August 15th, 1972, Elvis and Priscilla executed 2 agreements. 1, a property settlement agreement, and 2, a marital termination agreement. Said agreements are referred to and incorporated herein by reference. Thereafter, on August 18th, 1972, Elvis filed a petition to dissolve the marriage between Elvis and Priscilla. Said action is entitled, In the Matter of Elvis Aaron Presley and Priscilla Ann Presley, the default of Priscilla has been taken in said action and the action is now pending. Elvis performed and at all times has been willing to complete performance of the executory provisions of the property settlement and marital termination agreements, herein above referred to. On May 29th, 1973, Priscilla, by her counsel, filed a motion in this court to set aside her default, to invalidate, rescind, or nullify the property settlement and marital termination agreements executed August 15th, 1972. Elvis has contested and disputed the right of Priscilla to set aside her default, denies that the agreements or either of them should be set aside, and has asserted the validity and or enforceability thereof. 4. Subsequent to the proceedings undertaken by Priscilla to set aside her default, Priscilla and her counsel received copies of tax returns of Priscilla and or Elvis during the marriage. Priscilla, through counsel, obtained access to an opportunity to inspect some of the records of Broadcast Music, Inc., known as BMI, and the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers, also known as ASCAP, being the two major performing rights societies in the United States, whose function is to account for the performance royalties due and payable to copyright proprietors of musical compositions. By said inspection, Priscilla's attorneys have had access to inspect certain residuals, interests of Elvis in copyrights, master recordings, residuals, and royalties, in which Priscilla claims a community property interest. Priscilla, by her counsel, advised Elvis that further discovery of claimed community or quasi-community property is necessary in order for Priscilla to ascertain the extent or value of the claimed community and quasi-community property. Elvis, by his attorneys, has contested and disputed the right of Priscilla to any further claim or claims to community or quasi-community property interest in any of his property, real or personal, or to his music copyrights, master recordings, residuals, royalties, or any other assets contending, among other things, that Elvis's rights acquired before and after marriage were acquired while he was and is a domiciliary of the state of Tennessee. B, that Priscilla had released or transmitted to Elvis any and all claims to community property. C, that the agreements of property settlement and the marital termination agreement of August 15, 1972 were freely, voluntarily, and with full knowledge of the consequences thereof, heretofore entered into by Priscilla. 6, the resolution of the issues between the parties present difficult, complex questions of law, fact, valuation, including apportionment and tax problems. Irrespective of the contentions of either party and the merit or lack of merit of their respective arguments and or contentions, and without seeking further discovery or continuation of legal proceedings to settle their differences, Elvis and Priscilla have requested and hereby intend that the matters in dispute be amicably and harmoniously settled. Okay, here we go, y'all. What does that mean? It means Elvis gave in. That's all it is. He gave in to her demand.
Why?
Why?
To assure and provide permanent financial security for Priscilla and the minor child of the parties, Lisa Marie Presley, born February 1st, 1968, Elvis and Priscilla are now desirous of making a final and complete settlement by modification of their previous agreements, which shall include settlement of all of their respective property rights in and to all property owned by them or either of them, and intend hereby to agree upon an integrated and complete settlement of any and all claims, past, present, and future, against each other in the property or the estate of the other, including any claim, right, or demand arising out of the proceeding heretofore commenced by Priscilla against Elvis, or otherwise, and including, but not limited to, all claims for spousal support inheritance, family allowance, and or property, and each and every claim against the other arising from the marriage. In addition thereto, Elvis and Priscilla wish to modify the support and custody provisions for their daughter in the particulars hereinafter set forth. Okay, well, we're fixing to get into the property division and the settlement of all of that. B, property division and settlement. Elvis hereby agrees and acknowledges that all property of whatsoever kind and nature and wherever located, which is possessed and or owned by Priscilla, or which has been heretofore paid to or given to Priscilla by virtue of the property settlement agreement and or marital termination agreement dated August 15th, 1972, constitute Priscilla's sole and separate property. Elvis hereby assigns and releases to Priscilla all right, title, and interest therein. Number 2, in addition, therefore Elvis shall pay to Priscilla in consideration of property division or settlement the following sums of money. A, the sum of $725,000 within 10 days following the approval of this agreement by the Superior Court of the State of California for the County of Los Angeles. The further principal sum of $720,000 in settlement and discharge of Priscilla's claims to property payable $6,000 or more per month commencing and or effective October 1st, 1973, payable 1/2 on the 1st and 15th days of each successive calendar month in any and all events, all due and payable on or before August 1st, 1972. Upon default in payment of any installment for a period of 60 days, the whole of the principal sum shall, at the option of Priscilla, become immediately due and payable without demand or notice. The parties acknowledge that the payment of this principal sum is not intended to and does not represent a periodic payment. Okay, well, I want to make a little note here. On December 13th of 1974, that settlement date of August 1st, 1982 got changed.
What do you mean?
It says that it is stipulated by and between petitioner and respondent that the property settlement agreement dated August 15th, 1972, the marital termination agreement dated August 15th, 1972, and the agreement in modification of property settlement and marital termination of August 15th, 1972, dated October 4th, 1973, all of which were offered and received in evidence by this court at the hearing on the interlocutory judgment of dissolution and which were approved by the interlocutory judgment of dissolution of marriage entered in November 13th, 1973, are modified in the manner hereinafter set. Okay, so what I'm going to tell you is that the petitioner, it says the petitioner and respondent through their counsel and representatives have negotiated in good faith and have reached a mutual agreement to secure or guarantee the payment to respondent of the sums due her as spousal support as ordered by the court in paragraph G of the interlocutory judgment of dissolution. Petitioner has caused to be opened in the National Bank of Commerce, Memphis, Tennessee savings account, blah, 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 styled Priscilla Beaulieu Presley by Elvis Presley, trustee. The sum of $100,000 was deposited in such account on March 25th, 1974. The stated purpose of the establishment of such account was to deposit sufficient funds in such account so that the amounts therein deposited would eventually equal the unpaid balance of amounts due respondent pursuant to paragraph, and it lists those, of the interlocutory judgment of dissolution. Okay, here we go. In lieu of posting any specific amount of additional collateral at the present time, the parties agree that petitioner shall continue to deposit funds into savings account number, and it listed, at the National Bank of Commerce, Memphis, Tennessee, at such time and in such amounts as petitioner Elvis Presley finds practical and convenient, provided, however, petitioner agrees that on or before December 15th, 1976, the amount on deposit in such account shall equal the unpaid spousal support payments required to be made by petitioner by the specified paragraph on December 15th, 1976, or at such earlier time as the petitioner Elvis Presley, in his sole discretion, may determine the funds on deposit in the savings account in the National Bank of Commerce, Memphis, Tennessee, or other funds of petitioner shall be paid over to respondent Priscilla Presley to the extent necessary to satisfy and pay in full petitioner's entire obligation of support as contained in such paragraph by subtracting from the sum of $720,000 all monthly payments of $6,000 or more per month, which respondent has received from petitioner as of the date of such final payment. Petitioner shall continue to make the $6,000 monthly payment until such final payment is made. To carry out the stipulations and agreements as herein above set forth, it is agreed that the interlocutory judgment of dissolution is modified as to the following provisions only. The petitioner's obligations as imposed by paragraph G shall be satisfied in full by the action to be taken by petitioner pursuant to this modification, and the date of December 15th, 1976 shall be substituted for the date of August 1st, 1982 in paragraph, and it listed, of the interlocutory judgment of dissolution, and it's signed by Elvis and Priscilla. Okay, so she moved it up by quite a few years, did she not? So it went from being due on August 1st, 1982 to being due on December 15th, 1976. But there is more to that than meets the eye. I don't know what happened, but apparently Elvis was not able to make and have all of this money to her at this specific time. So Priscilla, on April 29th of 77, files a lien on Graceland to ensure that she is paid the money due her in the divorce settlement. And it's recorded in the Shelby County the Shelby County deed records on May 11th of 1977. Y'all can go check that out. But I don't know at this point exactly what happened, why Elvis didn't have it all paid for. You know, we know that he had sold off part of his music publishing rights and all of that to come up with some of this money, but he was having a difficult time. He was, and she took a lot of his money, and so she wanted to make sure that she got paid everything. So she put a lien on Graceland. Okay, so I digress. We're going to get back to this, okay? Priscilla is entitled to receive 1/2 of the net proceeds received by Elvis of and from his intended sale of the residence known and described as 144 Monteville Drive, Los Angeles, California, and the furnishings located therein. As soon as said residence is sold, Priscilla shall receive an accounting of the sale. Elvis shall account to Priscilla for the sale proceeds thereof and shall pay to her 1/2 of the net proceeds. Net proceeds being defined as the selling price less expenses of sale, commissions, trust deed balances, taxes, escrow expense, etc. Elvis shall have the sole and absolute right to sell said home on such terms and conditions as he in his sole judgment shall determine to be fair and reasonable. Elvis shall transfer or cause to be issued to Priscilla 5% of the total outstanding stock issued or to be issued for Elvis Presley Music, Inc. and Whitehaven Music, Inc., as and when each company is formed and stock is issued without representation or warranty of value or performance potential. These companies shall be principally owned and controlled by Elvis, and and controlled by Elvis, and it is his intention to cause said companies to be the recipient of certain of his publishing, performance, or other music royalties to be earned in the future. Elvis shall report or cause to be reported to Priscilla at regular intervals and at least annually the result of each year's operations, performance, or progress of each of said companies. So she ended up getting part of his publishing rights in addition to the spousal support. So, and in addition to the sale of the Monteville house. Okay, so let's continue. Okay. Elvis shall pay to Priscilla as spousal support the sum of $4,200 per month on the first day of every calendar month until the death of either party, the remarriage of Priscilla, or 12 months, whichever event shall first occur. In no event shall Elvis have an obligation to pay spousal support beyond 1 year, 12 months, and the court's jurisdiction to order payment of spousal support shall in any or all events terminate on September 30th, 1974. Payment of spousal support pursuant to this paragraph shall not be modified by either party. Payment of spousal support pursuant to this paragraph is intended to constitute periodic payments to Priscilla, reportable by her as taxable income under the applicable provisions of the Internal Revenue Code. Waiver and release of further discovery. Priscilla specifically waives further accounting, representation, and or warranties with reference to any and all property, community, quasi-community, separate property, or otherwise, including earnings and or accumulations of Elvis earned or acquired prior to or subsequent to marriage from any source whatsoever, and Priscilla specifically releases to Elvis as his sole and separate property any and all property of whatsoever kind and or nature and wherever located, whether real, personal, or mixed, which is owned and or possessed by Elvis and which is in Elvis's name or held for Elvis's account and or benefit, including but not limited to the ownership by Elvis of any music copyrights, master recordings, residuals, royalties, and any other earnings and or accumulations of Elvis acquired prior to or subsequent to their marriage. E, mutual release of all claims, except as otherwise provided in this agreement of modification. The provisions and agreements contained in the property settlement agreement and marital termination agreement of August 15, 1972, shall continue in force and effect, including the payment of $50,000, which was due on August 20th, 1973, as provided by paragraph 2A4 of the property settlement agreement. Except as otherwise provided in this agreement, Elvis and Priscilla hereby release each other from any and all liabilities and debts of every kind and character that have been or will be incurred, and from any and all claims or demands, including all claims that either one may have against the other for support and maintenance as wife or as husband, or with respect to any property of the other. It being understood that by this agreement and prior agreements on August 15, 1972, Priscilla and Elvis have settled permanently all aspects of their marital and property rights and obligations arising out of the marriage. Had they really? Was it really permanent? Here we go. Tax indemnification. In consideration of the agreements herein contained, Elvis hereby indemnifies and holds Priscilla harmless from any and all tax liability, including penalties, interest, and or assessments asserted by any federal or state taxing authority arising out of the marital termination agreement or property settlement agreement of August 15, 1972, and or this agreement of modification, including but not limited to the receipt by Priscilla of any monies pursuant thereto and or arising out of the earnings of Elvis, of which he has had management and control during marriage. Elvis shall and does hold Priscilla harmless from any and all fees and expenses in connection with any examination, negotiation, or litigation regarding such liability, provided, however, Priscilla agrees upon demand to execute a power of attorney in favor of Elvis to sign any and all federal and state returns and or agreements, including the right to negotiate, litigate, extend the statute of limitations, make a settlement on behalf of any claim by the federal government or the state of California or any taxing agency against Elvis and or Priscilla for any reason whatsoever, subject to the foregoing indemnification agreement of Elvis in favor of Priscilla. Number 2, Priscilla similarly indemnifies and holds Elvis harmless from all tax liability, including penalties, interest, and additional assessments asserted by any federal or state taxing authorities arising out of her separate income since separation, of which she has had management and control, and or spousal support hereafter paid to Priscilla from and after the execution of this agreement. Priscilla shall hold Elvis harmless from all fees and expenses in connection with any examination, negotiation, or litigation regarding such tax liability. In furtherance of the foregoing, Elvis and Priscilla agree to cooperate fully with each other and to execute any documents, papers reasonably requested by the other, and to furnish information and testimony with respect to any tax liability asserted by any taxing authority as may hereafter be presented to the other. Okay, I'm trying to see how much more. We're almost done, so I think I'm going to go ahead. This is going to end up being a little longer, but we can get this finished and y'all will have the full thing to you. The next item is child custody and support. 1, child custody. Elvis and Priscilla desire to achieve a harmonious policy calculated to promote at all times the best interest and welfare of their daughter, Lisa Marie Presley, born February 1st, 1968. It makes me sad for this purpose. A, Priscilla and Elvis shall confer with each other and cooperate insofar as possible or reasonable on all matters pertaining to the health, welfare, education, religious training, and or upbringing of Lisa. B. Neither Elvis nor Priscilla shall at any time act or engage in any conduct, verbal or otherwise, that will undermine Lisa's affection and respect for either parent. C. Priscilla and Elvis shall keep each other advised at all times as to the whereabouts and residence of Lisa. Okay, I have to say this. At some point, there was a time, and I've got to find it, and if any of you have it out there, let me know, where Elvis was unable to get in touch with Priscilla and talk to Lisa. And it's while she was with Mike Stone. Mike Stone, in an interview recently, said that he never kept Lisa from Elvis, that has been attached to him, and that he never did that.
Maybe to dispel other people's perceptions about Elvis, there was some talk that I prevented Elvis from seeing Lisa. I mean, are you serious? I'm going to prevent Elvis from seeing his daughter? There's no way. With Elvis, Lisa was the most important thing. So for him, everything was about her security.
So who was keeping Lisa from Elvis? That's something to think about. If y'all can find that article and send it to me, I would love to have it. I should have researched that and threw it in here. In the event of injury or illness of Lisa, the party in whose fiscal custody Lisa is shall promptly notify the other parent of such injury or illness, and each parent shall at all times have the right to visit Lisa at reasonable times during such injury or illness wherever the child may be. The prior agreement of August 15th, 1972, providing that Elvis and Priscilla have joint legal custody of Lisa, subject to the right of Priscilla to have continued fiscal custody of Lisa, shall remain in force and effect. Elvis shall have at all times the rights of reasonable visitation and the right to fiscal custody of Lisa for reasonable times and periods convenient to Elvis and Priscilla and Lisa, which arrangement shall be mutually agreed upon. Number 2, child support. Elvis desires to provide generously for the permanent support, maintenance, education, and welfare of his daughter Lisa. In furtherance thereof, Elvis shall pay to Priscilla for the support, care, education, schooling, and maintenance of Lisa, born February 1st, 1968, the sum of $4,000 per month, payable 1/2, or $2,000 on the 1st and 1/2, or $2,000 on the 15th day of each calendar month, commencing October 1st, 1973, and continuing until Lisa has reached her majority, marries, becomes emancipated, or until further order of court, whichever event shall first occur. Attorney fees and costs. Elvis and Priscilla each agree to pay his or her own attorney's fees and or costs in the representation of each of them in these proceedings. Miscellaneous. Any reconciliation between Priscilla and Elvis shall not cancel, terminate, or modify the force or effect of any provision of this agreement. So, do you get what that's saying? That if they were to get back together, he would still owe her all of the money. So you think he was going back? I don't think so. This agreement modifies the previous property settlement agreement and marital termination agreement executed by the parties on August 15th, 1972. No other agreement, statement, or promise made by or to either Elvis or Priscilla or to the representative of either shall be binding upon them or either of them, unless in writing and signed by both Priscilla and or Elvis. Elvis and Priscilla acknowledge that each of them has been represented in the negotiations for and in the preparation of this agreement by counsel of their own choosing, including Priscilla by Arthur Toll and Elvis by Harry M. Fain. Each has read this agreement Anne has had it fully explained by his or her counsel and is fully aware of its contents and its legal effect. This agreement shall be submitted to the court for incorporation and merger in the interlocutory judgment of dissolution in the pending proceedings between Elvis and Priscilla, but irrespective thereof, shall be binding and effective forthwith. In witness whereof, Priscilla and Elvis have executed this agreement this 4th day of October 1973, and it's signed by Elvis Aaron Presley, Priscilla Ann Presley, and Elvis's attorney Harry M. Fain, and Priscilla's attorney Arthur Toll. And that's it.
It's over. Yeah, it's over. I don't think so, boy.
So, anyway, we finished those. I hope that has been some good information for you guys. It was a lot to read. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Anyway, I will see you all next time. And remember, you only get one shot at this life, so live each day to the fullest, because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. See you next time. Bye, everybody.
Do you wish, Priscilla, in a way that you had never got divorced from Elvis? And do you think that his life would have been different if you'd stayed together?
Gosh. To be honest, I think we were better not married.